I just got these new Meta glasses.
Oh.
I'm fully connected, bro. I can see you naked right now with these Meta.
Wait a minute.
Meta Wayfarer Ray-Ban glasses.
I can't get past the fact that you can see me naked.
Smaller than I thought.
Oh Lord.
I was expecting pretty big, but listen, man. Made me feel better about myself.
The first thing that you had an opportunity to see somebody naked, you went straight to the genitals.
That's cultural appropriation at this point.
Is it?
With that thing, you appropriating my culture.
So smooth.
Oh my. Perhaps I have to release some tapes.
Little action going.
Hey, it worked for the Kardashians.
It did work for the Kardashians. That's a big, so I think that's a good topic to start on. Me and my girl were having a discussion about
You gonna release
this.
a sex tape?
What?
You gonna release a sex tape?
Yeah, we're gonna drop a sex tape. No, we're talking about the Kardashians. So Drake's son dropped the song.
His son?
His son dropped a
His son
little
like
song.
4?
Shit is trash, but it's cute because it's Drake's son, and like, you know, it's cool to see Drake supporting his son's like endeavors. Like, it's cute, you know?
This feels somewhat uncomfortable to go from sex tape to a child dropping a song.
No, but so then my girl goes, yeah, but if Kim Kardashian's kids did this, they would be on her neck, and I'm like, of course, because they're attention whores. They do everything for attention.
Yeah.
So because they do everything for attention, naturally they're gonna freaking, like if they were to release, if Kim Kardashian were to release, like let's say her son or her daughter making a music video, they're like, oh, they're doing it for attention. Because they've built this name for themselves where no matter what they do, it's gonna be hard to respect it because all they do, everything they do is for attention.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So with Drake, it's different. It's like, oh, it's cute, it's endearing because it's their kid.
Yeah.
But with the Kardashians, it's like you can't, like anything they do, they tarnish it forever because they're such attention whores. Like, why do you think that it's hard to respect what the Kardashians do?
Because the basis, I think you can respect the business acumen, but I think where it becomes difficult to respect it is that they try not to acknowledge what the creation of the entire empire was built off of.
Yeah.
Robert Kardashian was a very successful
lawyer,
attorney. Right?
Defended our boy.
Right? Well, that's a very interesting
Our
position
boy.
to take, but you're certainly not wrong. Nevertheless, he and his entire image, not necessarily defamed and defaced, but it's been usurped by what his children have created, and his ex-wife had created. But Kim, primarily known for the sex tape, we look at it from, okay, how did you take this negative and turn it into a positive? Moreover, how you're viewed is still that of somebody
So my girl was saying, it's like you have to respect it that she's built $1 billion empire from a sex tape. Because women drop sex tapes all the time.
All the time.
They're not doing shit.
Yep.
With Kim Kardashian, she's built something out of it, but still at the same time, it doesn't garner the same amount of respect as if she would have done it through a trade. I was explaining the reason that there's no respect there is because she doesn't really necessarily have a trade per se of like, hey, you built an empire from this. No, you got attention from a sex tape, and then you capitalize because you threw that attention towards other shit like businesses, TV show, et cetera, and you've been able to monetize.
It all stems from the reality show, and I can at least say this much, as it pertains to reality television, her family is amongst like the titans in the space, because back in 2007, reality television was already, around, but I don't think there was a face of reality television. Of course, there was like a ton of MTV. They had a ton of different things on different locations. But when the Kardashians, Keeping Up with the Kardashians released on the E! Network, I don't know what it was about that family that made people buy in so heavily, because I don't know if there was a, not Desperate Housewives, that was just a television show, like a Real Housewives or a Love and Hip Hop or a Basketball Wives.
You know what I think
I don't recall if those shows were out at the time of the release of The Family, but it was centralized around their family and the access that they have due to the wealth that they had already
I think the allure
created something that was so incredible to where everybody tuned in.
The allure actually, I think, comes from like people want to see what the lifestyle of the rich and fabulous are.
Right.
So when you have these Kardashians that are like, I think I'm gonna go to Mykonos this week, and it's like they're doing this voice, people are like, oh, would be nice to live like that.
Right.
You know?
And I think the age played a role as well, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Kim was born in 81, I think. So at the release of the show, the oldest sister is Courtney. I think she's older by a year. So she would have been 27. Kim would have been 26. I think Chloe's maybe a few years younger, maybe like 24 or some shit like that. Rob, who gives a fuck at this point, he might as well transit. That's a different conversation. But him, the two, Kylie and Kendall, you're watching people grow up. I think that adds to the allure. Had they just been a bunch of women in their 30s and 40s, nobody would have gave a fuck. But because they were at the age, and moreover, the introduction of social media with Facebook was starting to hit its peak at the time.
It's the allure of like being able to capture attention. That's what they built their entire. So I guess their skill would be capturing attention. Yeah. Right? But it's just unfortunate that they had to capture attention in that way and use the father's wealth, use the sex tape to then garner attention. Right. But I mean, you see it with like YouTube boxing. YouTube boxers, the only reason these YouTube boxers are outselling actual boxers is because they have attention. Because there was a fight like a week or two ago, the Logan Paul, Dillon Danis, Tommy Fury, KSI fight. They did like 1 million pay-per-view buys, bro. Yep. It's crazy. What boxer can sell that?
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. It's similar to what happened with all of Jake's past fights, Logan's past fights, and it's gotten to a point now with the celebrity boxing. I think it's done more damage to boxing than helped.
Why do you say that?
Financially, it works, but for the craft of actual boxing, I think it's bad. Because now you have people who will tune in more to watch the circus of guys who aren't professional fighters versus watching the professional fighters. So I think the days of the Mike Tysons, of the Muhammad Alis, the Lennox Lewises, the Evander Holyfield, all of these dudes who were absolute titans and warriors, they're being usurped in the attention, area, to where now people, you ask, yo, what boxing fight you want to watch? Somebody will be more inclined, a casual viewer, to watch a Jake Paul fight than to watch a Gervonta Davis fight.
Well, what happens is a lot of it, why do people watch boxing? You go to the root, right? You go to the root, no, it's a fact though.
No, but even if you're in a situation where you gotta like say, all right,
Davis Garcia did well.
No, it did well, but then like let's just say, because it's two big prominent names, but on a consistent basis, Jake Paul has no business being able to even be in the conversation for most sold fights.
This is the way I look at it, right?
But because they have attention,
this is the way I look at it. They're good at attention.
Right.
Boxing is secondary. Right. Boxers are good at boxing.
Right.
Attention is secondary.
Right.
But attention is what sells fights. Right. So you look at WWE, which ones do the best numbers, or the reason WWE is so popular, right? Because I can't tell you how many times I watched WWE as a kid. As a grown man, it's lost its allure for me, but I can't tell you how many grown adult men watch WWE. And I get it, I can't blame them, like, oh, that's for kids, because they build a storyline. It's not necessarily, they're not watching people fight. They're not watching gladiators, they're watching the storyline. It's almost like a novella. It's almost like a reality TV aspect. WWE is keeping up with the Kardashians for men. Yeah.
I'm an avid WWE fan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in there.
So it's this attention thing, and they're able to garner that attention. So with these YouTube boxers like Jake Paul, he picks his opponents like meticulously, but then he builds a storyline around it. He does a great job of advertising it. He pulls little stunts here or there. Whereas someone like a Gervonta Davis, he's not here to fucking do little tricks and pranks. Like, he's not a YouTube boxer. He's here to fuck someone up. He's here to kill you. Right. Whereas Jake Paul is like, I'm gonna take Mayweather's hat.
It's like Spence versus Crawford.
That's the highest level of boxing.
Right. Everybody who is a fight fan, boxing fan, like the combat sports, that's something that you dream of in a matchup. But for the casual viewer, with what's happening with YouTube boxing, now you'll be much more inclined to see, oh, well, this is all over the media. Everybody's seeing this go on. It's circulating through socials. I might as well be tapped in and watch it. And I think my biggest issue with it is the marketing is perfect. The execution, I think, is terrible, because the in-ring product has to match what the buildup was. I'm not saying you go in there and it has to be an all-time classic, but both parties have to at least put in an effort to attempt to do so. Because when I watched Danis and Paul, the entire build-up with Logan Paul's fiance, magnificent.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I just have a point I want to get off before we jump to that.
Magnificent in that, in the entire build-up. But the execution, terrible. I'll let you get your point on.
Well, no, I think really quick though, I think so I'm a big fight fan. I fought for 10 years of my life. I love fighting. I love the art of fighting. And in a weird way, right, like Crawford versus Spence, I wasn't as excited to see that versus Paul and Danis.
Because of the build-up.
Because when I watched like that Crawford versus Spence fight, I'm expecting like, oh, this is gonna be really technical and like, it's gonna be beautiful to watch from like an artistic perspective of fighting.
Yeah.
With Danis versus Paul, there's something primal about it. Mm-hmm. Because they were at each other's necks.
Yeah.
Like this is what fighting is supposed to be. You're supposed to have this like tension.
Right.
Right? With it's almost like Danis versus Paul has almost like the same excitement, like Mayweather versus Conor.
Right.
That was one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time because they had that fucking adversity throughout the entire thing. They had adversity. There was a storyline, and then when they fought, it was a good fight. It was a good product and a good build-up.
And I think there's also an element of unknowingness, perhaps.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't know what can happen.
With the Danis fight, I'm like, I was excited. Like the Spence card, I was like, this is gonna be a sick fight. I'm gonna tune into that.
Right.
But I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to watch them fight.
Yeah.
And then when you watch them fight, cause bro, what were your thoughts initially on that fight when you watched
Spence and Crawford?
No, not the Spence Crawford, the Danis Paul.
Oh, I was so disappointed. I was incredibly disappointed in Dillon Danis in particular because we had talked a bit about the entire situation.
Yeah.
And with Dillon Danis and how he built up the fight based off of, joking about Logan's wife and her actions in her past, which for all intents and purposes, I think was fair game because he didn't say anything that wasn't already publicly out there.
And when you're fighting, you're fighting.
Right, and you're fighting, and you're going to sell the fight. This is a great angle to take. I didn't like how Logan, was so taken aback and surprised because I remember he was on his podcast at one particular point and he had mentioned like he didn't know a bunch of these other stuff. So I feel like he was sidelined, but that has nothing to do with the fight. One way or another, or I should say sideswipe, but one way or another, my biggest frustration with the in-ring product of Dillon Danis was all of the talk to lead to this particular point, and he stepped into the ring without the willingness to go and fight. It's like he was begging Logan to come kick his ass, but then Logan was kicking his ass. So then what are you gonna do? You can't be in the fight. You're trolling when you're literally losing. It's one thing if you're having a good fight and everybody in the crowd's like, oh, it could go either way. There was without question, by the fourth round, you're losing the fight.
Yeah.
You're getting beat up and you're not punching. You're not responding. You're not counter-punching. You're not dodging or doing anything. So you're literally in there looking like the internet troll who's only powerful behind the keyboard. Especially if your background is in combat, because I looked at it very similar to the Tyron Woodley fight with Jake Paul. On the first fight, through the first 4 rounds, it was even, and then Woodley took the lead in the first one. After the 4th round, Woodley stopped punching.
Yeah.
So you watch that fight like, yo, your background is combat. Even if you're not a, striker, whatever the case is, your background is combat. You'll at least have the willingness to say, yo, I got to turn it on. This is what I got to do. And then Woodley ultimately didn't do it. They fought the second time. He got knocked out. Dillon Danis, here you are midway through the fight. Everybody under the sun knows, hey, you're losing. You got to do something. And yet he still goes out there in the final 3 rounds. You're trolling. You're laying on the ground. You're going for takedowns in a boxing fight. Yeah. Even if your background is not boxing, the baseline of fighting still remains. Protect, punch.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I think there's a couple parts to that. One, there's so many layers. Like mixed martial artists and boxers are not the same. I think it's been pretty evident with all these people, the crossover stuff.
Right.
Like you can be a good boxer and like Anderson Silva's a good boxer.
Right.
He's an MMA fighter, but he's a good boxer as well. But that doesn't necessarily carry for everyone. Like Dillon Danis is a jiu-jitsu guy. Ben Askren's a wrestler.
Right.
So it's like saying, oh, you're a football player, so you should be good at basketball. So it's like if you take like, I don't know, LeBron and make him play a football player, you're like, well, you're a football player, you're an athlete, you should be somewhat good at basketball. LeBron,
Yeah, he is a good football player. He's like all state in Ohio.
I'm saying,
but I get the logic of it. Yeah.
So
they think it's evergreen.
Yeah, and it's not. It doesn't translate that way. So that's one part of it when it comes to this type of stuff. I think with Dillon Danis, it kind of fucked him because this is the storyline. Danis was he was the laughing stock of the world.
Right.
Takes this Logan Paul fight. People don't think he's gonna fight, but then he starts like winning the crowd over.
Right.
Starts doing the knee thing. Then Logan becomes the laughing stock.
Yep.
Right.
Flipped it completely.
He flipped it completely. And I look at the comments. Logan turned his comments off on Twitter.
Yep.
Because he got sensitive.
Yep.
Dillon Danis fucking all the comments underneath this thing were just making fun of Logan.
Yep.
He would tweet, it's making fun of Logan. His only job was to come in there and fight. And come fight night, I know his strategy. I know what the team worked on. They were trying to walk him down throughout the fight and catch him with a big shot. So it would be the equivalent of like, okay, you're not gonna outbox this guy. He's been boxing way longer than you. You're not necessarily super explosive. What you can do is you can bait him in so he engages with you and then throw one big shot and knock him out.
Right.
That was kind of like their plan.
Yeah.
Make him get tired. He's on steroids. Make him get tired. Walk him down. Clean him.
Right.
That was their plan.
Right. Try to punch
I think
him out.
what happens, it's like the Mike Tyson saying, everybody has a plan until you get hit.
Yep.
So he steps in there, thinks he's gonna walk him down. Logan's not getting as tired as he thought he was gonna get. Logan's hitting a little bit harder than he thought he was. And at that point you get shy, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna punch anymore. And now the hands don't fly. And because of that, what happened is he went from being, oh, this guy's hilarious, he's killing him.
Yep.
And after the fight, I watched, because I think one of the worst moves you can make is he keeps talking shit.
Yes, 100%.
And now when you look online, right? You look online, the public sentiment has changed.
Flip.
He went from being like the laughing stock to then being like okay, you're winning, we want you to win, everyone's on his side.
Yep.
Then when they fought, you look at the comments now and it's like, bro, you still have a headache from when Logan hit you?
Yep.
Like everyone's trolling his ass.
Back. Yeah.
And it flipped back because, and I think this just goes to show that ultimately at the end of the day, and I tweeted it, Dillon Danis is a poster boy for the internet trolls.
Yep.
But when it comes to like, back your shit up, you get your ass whooped, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter, like you could have been killing him, you could be talking about his girl, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, it just boils down to like, who's gonna fight? Because if someone's making fun of your girl and you beat their ass, the fuck is anyone gonna say now?
Right, exactly. And I looked at it as, in this fight, there was only one opening where Dillon could have came out the real loser across the board. Because had he fought in the fight and went out like a warrior, he's swinging, he's maybe not so much dodge, but you're in in a fight, right? I think they could have looked at that as still honorable. Dillon Danis went in there and without question, he took the biggest possible L that you can take, and it's still persisting because he's talking trash on Twitter.
And what's frustrating, he's going like, oh, in a real fight I would kill him. It's like,
right.
Doesn't
it's
matter,
like
bro.
you had an
didn't sign
opportunity,
up.
like you both were in the ring, because my biggest problem was watching the fight through the first 3 rounds. I think that sticks. That he was like, all right, I'm gonna try to walk this guy down and then respond if he punches himself out. The problem was, you're taking all this damage. You've got to survive to make it to that point. Yep. Moreover, you know how fighting works. You can have a plan of saying, all right, well, all I have to just do is endure, and then I'll strike back and get one big shot. Is that going to help you in the end? If there's no guarantee it's going to work, at least send back some counter punches. Do something. He did nothing. And in the midst of trying to walk Logan down, he wasn't swinging or whatever the case. You just invited this man to punch you in the face. He punched you in the face. You did nothing. There was no adjustments. There was no sort of, all right, cool, this is a strategy. Nothing. By the time the 3rd round came, whatever sort of plan you may have had coming into the fight, throw that sumbitch out and then make a switch. None of that happened. Then, after you lose, all of the shit talking that you did, talking about, oh man, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna knock you out.
Shit talking means
everything, right? It no longer means nothing.
Even when he says, oh, I'm gonna fight Logan in an MMA fight.
Right.
Let's do an MMA fight. I'm almost confident Logan will win an MMA fight too now.
Right, right,
like,
100%, 100%.
Because even when Danis tried to take him down, Logan walks off to the corner. I started laughing. He's like, man, all-state wrestler, baby, all-state, because he was a wrestler.
Right.
So it's like, yo, you got your ass whooped like that.
You got embarrassed, and because let's just say it was early in the fight, right? Here's the biggest way that Danis could have avoided, looking like a complete clown, especially in that 6th round where he started swinging at security. There was 2 different things in the fight that I looked at and I said, wait a minute, these are situations to where Danis could have made adjustments. One, had all of the takedowns that he did in the 6th round, had he did that early in the fight, so it appears as if he's struggling to make the adjustment from MMA to boxing, he could have saved himself. Because let's just say you're in the midst of your combination and you go for the takedown. that's just natural muscle memory.
Yeah.
So if you were to get disqualified there, it's like, yo, I'm struggling to make but you have the willingness to do it. He did none of that until the 6th round. And then furthermore, what I think he could have done to where he doesn't look like a complete clown was all of the trolling that he was doing in the midst of the fight, whether it was making faces, talking shit, putting his hands behind his back, laying on the ground. If he immediately responded from that with swinging at Logan, with the intention of actually doing damage rather than just going through the motion, he could have came out looking completely different. And then after the fact that the fight was over, the moment that the security had stepped into the ring, he started rushing towards the security. The fight's done.
Yeah.
You did nothing, and now you're throwing punches at the security. There was an element of, I think it was early in the 6th round where the security guard stepped into the ring. That should have been an immediate disqualification on Logan's end. But the fact that Dillon is even trying to claim that after being in the ring and doing nothing, you look like an absolute clown.
It's really disappointing, man. I was on Dillon Danis' side.
Yeah.
I really wanted, because Logan, I'm not a big Logan Paul fan. I think, like, after seeing him argue with Jake, he does some stuff that's, like, questionable. Right. You know, like, I'm a big Jake Paul fan. Logan, not so much. And I really want Dillon Danis to, like, win, humble him. You know, I think it would have been a good, like, little redemption story for Dillon Danis. And instead, what happens is now you have a Logan Paul redemption arc, because he whoops his ass, and then he goes on his podcast talking about how he found Jesus. Yeah. And it's like, now you give Logan this redemption arc. Right. Of, like, so I was rooting for him. It's unfortunate that the training didn't match the shit talk. Because if you're gonna shit talk like that, you gotta back it up, bro. You have to. You have to back it up. If you don't, and then you start doing cop-outs like, oh, well, in a real fight I would win. It's like one of those things where it's like, it's an excuse.
Yeah, I know you are, well, what am I? I know you are, well, what am I? Like,
yeah, it's like, well, I wasn't even trying. It's like, bruh.
There's no way around it. And it's so disappointing because here's a guy who, he flipped the perception of him because people disliked Logan so much that they got behind you 100%. There's people who have no interest in boxing, no interest in combat, nothing. But they were just curious because here's a dude who's outing information about another dude's fiance. Yeah. They support the dude who's outing it to where they join in. And they're trolling Logan together. Everybody collectively trolling. And you fail. It's one of those very disappointing situations because it's like he unilaterally made the decision to step into the ring and not punch. Nobody told you not to punch. You're in control of your hands. If somebody hits me in the face and I'm in a fight, the context has changed. It's different if it's like, all right, I don't want to fight you. I've agreed to this fight. We did the weigh-in. You were complaining prior to the fight. I'm talking shit.
I'm saying I'm gonna knock you out.
I'm saying I'm gonna knock you out. I brought your wife, well, soon-to-be wife, into it. Yeah. We're now in the ring. Even if you hit me harder than I had anticipated your strength to be, we're in a fight. And the objective of the fight is to win the fight. So at least operate as if you're trying to win.
Yeah, like I said, it invalidates everything he said. Because you say I'm gonna knock you out, and you go out and you give that performance.
Right, exactly.
You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. You're all 100%. Talk. And when you're all talk, your words mean nothing anymore. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, like, as a man, you gotta be like, you know what? I'm gonna be a man of my word, regardless. Yep. But if it gets that easy to discourage you from, like, if you're saying I'm gonna knock you out, but then you get hit a little harder than you expect, and now, like, it changes from, instead of I'm gonna knock you out, well, if it was a real fight, and then what, you do a real fight, you lose that also, well, he's on steroids, it's always gonna be something that follows up after that. Right. Right. There's never any sort of accountability, and because of that, it just rubs me the wrong way.
What was it in Scarface where Tony had said, in this world, you only have your word and your balls? Yeah. And now Dillon Danis looks like a neutered mute. Like, that dude went out there and did a whole lot of nothing. And then the other fight that was on the card with KSI and Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury, I look at it.
I thought KSI won.
I do too. So I do too. Now, I don't like the bitching and moaning after the fact. I think what you can do, especially in the fight business, you could always fight again.
No, because it's hard to get those deals
Right?
done.
No. But in their case, because with KSI, Tommy Fury, depending on how it went down, there's a level of pride that I just personally.
Because Tommy Fury said, "I'm done with this YouTube boxing shit." It almost seems like, oh, because you got to
like he got away with it.
You got away with it. Now you're done. Because I thought he lost.
I do too. I think it was incredibly close, but then how it ended, I would have probably given it to
with the
KSI.
point deduction too. It's like, bro.
Right. It's one of those situations where you look at it objectively, like, I don't know.
I think it's a victory for KSI in that sense, because he came out there,
Right.
hit dude hard.
Yeah.
Dude was way bigger than him. Everyone was thinking, like, if you looked at what everyone's saying before the fight, was saying KSI's getting knocked out.
Yeah.
This dude's tinier.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Fury's way bigger. He's a boxer. KSI's not a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you watch him fight and he puts that performance on, you're kind of like, okay, KSI, Jake Paul is interesting now.
Right.
Because before I was like, yo, Jake Paul gonna Jake Paul's gonna cook him.
Yeah.
He's gonna kick his ass. But now after seeing them both fight Tommy Fury, I think KSI did better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Jake Paul,
Right.
KSI is an interesting fight now.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I feel disappointed in not KSI, but disappointed in Tommy Fury because I looked at it like, man, you got all of the resources that you have, you got the name, everything like that. How is it that you're in situations where your fights end and the populace is watching like, I don't know, did he win? Did he not win? Because even when he fought Jake, I feel like Tommy Fury won that fight unanimously and everything. Right. I don't think there was any sort of question. Mm-hmm. But that's me personally. A ton of different people can make the argument that Jake really won that fight.
Knockdown, yeah.
And then now with the KSI, people can make a shit ton of arguments that KSI won that fight. If you're a boxer where you have that level of pride, although a win is a win, this is the fight business. You want to leave no stone unturned.
I respect Mayweather for that. So Mayweather, people be like, Mayweather's a ducker. He doesn't. No, Mayweather's a money guy. The reason that he didn't fight Pacquiao is because I'm Filipino. Pacquiao's my boy. You know, we got the same cousins.
Yeah.
But the reason he didn't fight Pacquiao is because the money wasn't right. Mm-hmm. Mayweather's a businessman first. So people are saying, oh, he's scared. He's scared. He's not scared because he fought this dude Maidana.
Yeah, he fought Maidana.
And people were saying he won by a split decision.
Yep.
They're saying, oh, Mayweather lost that fight. He's like, fuck it, let's fight him again. Yep. Rematches him, beats him decisively. Yep. That's what you do as a fighter.
Exactly.
As a man, you're like, fuck it. Do it again. Let's run it back.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's why.
I can show you what happened.
That's why I think, especially with KSI, Tommy Fury, they could fight again. Because for KSI, who else you got lined up? This is what you.
I mean, I think Jake Paul has.
Right? No. I think that definitely can happen. And I still believe. Let's just say he fights Tommy Fury again and he loses again. I think Jake Paul would still, depending on the performance of KSI, I think Jake Paul would probably still take that fight because that's something that has to happen. They've been on a collision course for a while, right? You
that's the big one.
Exactly. They can't avoid themselves. That's the pinnacle of YouTube.
They're the ones that started it.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, well, it's crazy because it's almost like the perfect fucking story, bro.
Right.
You couldn't write it any better. The first YouTube boxing was KSI, Logan Paul, Deji, Jake Paul. So Jake Paul, the little brother, beats his little brother. Right. KSI beats his big brother.
Yep.
They've gone on these boxing like tears where they're just knocking people out. Mm-hmm. They run into the same guy, lose to the same guy in very close fights.
Yep.
It's almost like a complete parallel.
Like truly, what I think they could also do is fight each other for the right to fight Tommy Fury or something. But Tommy Fury's not a big name yet. If I'm Tommy Fury, I would want to fight the both of them again so I can decisively put them away. Because the only reason why is because from a pride perspective, if I'm Tommy Fury, I don't want to be associated. No, I don't think he's like that either. I think if it's his brother's like that.
Tyson is like that.
His brother's like that.
Tyson's like that, but Tommy's not like that. He's not built that way.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where that's where I have a level of disappointment.
The dad has, Tyson has kind of like, because the dad's like that too. The dad's like that. Tyson is like that. Tommy doesn't really have it. Even when you watch, it's like the dad will have to talk for Tommy, or Tyson will have to talk for Tommy. Tommy's like the little brother that like, he's just like, you know what, whatever, it is what it is. I just want to do my thing. I'm going to go on Love Island, blah, blah, blah. Because my girl, it's so funny because she's a Love Island alumni.
Right.
She's like, isn't that the guy from Love Island? I'm like, yeah, but he's a boxer.
Oh, he was? I didn't know that.
He won Love Island.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
that's funny.
I guess it's like whoever America votes for.
They survive until the end.
Yeah, it's like it's a vote. It's a popularity contest.
Are they still together?
The Love Island guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a kid with a girl.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. So he's one of those guys. He doesn't have that dog in him.
Yeah.
You can't do reality TV and fucking also be a fighter.
Right. It's not gonna work.
Like reality TV. doesn't. So I have a reality TV show coming out. I did a great job on that. You guys are gonna love that, but I can't talk about it yet.
As a subtle release of it, and then
but you can't. It's hard to be a reality TV person and a career person. So like Kanye, in Keeping Up with the Kardashians, he didn't deal with like the manufactured bullshit. He's kind of like whatever. Right. This guy who's like a reality TV guy, he's good on reality TV, but it's not good because if you're if you're a real guy, like you're boring.
Yeah.
You sit, you work, you train. That's not fucking fun. There's no drama there. You know, like these people that are career oriented, they don't care about anything other than their career or like fighting for the love of it. He just does it because the attention, the money. He doesn't love boxing like that. I think that's the issue.
Fair enough. Makes sense to me.
But yeah, man, attention is money. When it comes to all this stuff, like the Kardashians, the Fury brothers, like attention is money. And the more attention you can get, the more money you can make. That's the world we live in, bro. That's why I was saying, like, content creators are the new businessmen.
Yeah, it's all based in marketing, and like we've always talked about this. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a ton of different podcasts that talk about it, but truly, it's the branding is number one. You create a personal brand, you market yourself the right way,
and you'll be able
to eat forever. It doesn't matter what the hell you do.
Here's a crazy. I'll tell you a stat right now. Give me a second. I'll tell you a stat right now, because it's wild. Because you know, Jake Paul makes music too. It just goes to show.
I remember he had
can
like
do
a
anything.
Team 10 thing. I remember it
this
popped
dude has
up on my thing.
250,000 listeners every month that listen to his music.
Wow.
He has a song with 25 million streams.
Wow.
KSI as well makes music, and like I said, when you have attention, you can make video. You can be Chiseled Adonis, get YouTube views. You can be professional boxer, get pay-per-view sales. You can make music. KSI has 3 million monthly listeners, and he has a song with 162 million plays. I mean, he has multiple songs with over 100 million plays.
Wow.
So it's a crazy thing where it's like, attention is the new currency. Because you can do anything. He's making money off of that music. 100 million streams, bro. Let me do the math.
Yeah, what is the math on that?
If you're getting like 400, let's say you get 4,000 per million streams times 100, 400 grand for these songs that have 100 million streams. Wow. That's just off Spotify. So these songs probably made him $1 million each.
Perhaps.
Attention is fucking money.
It's number one, man. And now, especially no matter whatever business venture that you go into,
the Deion Sanders thing, attention, money. Yeah. Attention for football translates into glasses.
Like the money he made on the glasses, incredible. Hell, he had me go out to Colorado. I flew over there just to go see the atmosphere and everything because of the sheer attention. And now they've got a ton of tech that can add with attention. You had those glasses on earlier. Those are Meta glasses. And for those who don't know, these are glasses that have the camera already pre-installed on there. You can listen to music, you can live record, you can go live on Facebook and on Instagram.
I go live on Instagram on these,
And it's changing the game.
100%. But yeah, literally, when it comes to attention, I think attention is huge. I think a good way to end this podcast, this episode, since it's the attention podcast. If you had to get 3 tips, I think we can go. I think this is a good format. Like every time we end, we give like
3 tips. Okay.
Not 3 tips, but like last time we did the Will Smith.
Yeah.
If you're in Will Smith's position, I think we pose a question that we can both answer and give some insights on. If you had to give 3 tips to get attention, what would they be?
3 tips to get
garner attention, because you're very good at getting attention.
Right.
You do it in your own way. What would your best 3 tips be?
Well, for what is it, like positive attention, negative attention, or just
in general,
attention across the board?
Dillon Danis, he had a lot of negative attention.
Okay.
But now he makes money off of it. So, what is your 3 tips for attention?
Well, for one, I would say be a provocateur. Be
what does
in a
that mean?
situation that you can now, you kind of like, I don't want to say poke the bear, but being a provocateur, you're in a situation where you say things that now elicit an emotion straight out of somebody.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it's not like I'm being very pretentious, not necessarily even keel or kind of just on the fence about things. I'll say something that now gets you like jumping, like, depression isn't real. Immediately, I'm now poking at something.
Trigger people,
so you get trigger individuals. So you can be a provocateur. That can bring you either, it's gonna be extreme views for the most part, but you're gonna get a lot of attention. Like there's a ton of people who on Twitter who, if now that they're paying, they get paid off of engagement. They just write a bunch of random things.
Right.
So You can be a provocateur. I think that's number one. That'd be tip number one as it pertains to getting more attention. Number two, put yourself, out there. Try new things. Get in front of new audiences and expose yourself to new different things. Like, let's just say if your background is in you're a chef or something like that. Traditionally, we're our chefs inside of the kitchen. Now you could try to do different things to get attention. Why not go to somewhere like a Nevada?
Well, if you look at Gordon Ramsay, he gets attention that way too.
Right. Inside, but then he also is that of a provocateur with the show.
Yeah.
To where now you talk to people in such a high, tone that can immediately people who's watching like, what the hell, you talking to who, like what? And now you've watched all the seasons of Hell Kitchen, So you could be a provocateur. Two, you can now put yourself in a situation where you're doing things, you relocate or you do different sort of things. So let's just say if you're a chef, rather than constantly being inside of the kitchen, you could try outlandish things. Why not go to somewhere like Nevada, in the summer where it's 110 outside? Cook outdoors, use the damn sun or something like that. That can immediately, somebody, what's going on? That's something completely different, changes the dynamic. And then lastly, pay for attention. Pay for attention, whether it's running paid advertisements, paying other individuals to aid you and get your stuff out there or get yourself out there. So I'd say those are the three. Provocateur, that's on your own volition. You literally can just go and say outlandish things. Two, try something outside of the box. And then three, enlist somebody else through payment in order to go and get that attention. Those would be my three tips.
That's a good one. I think if I had to go three, I think the first one, and it's kind of similar to what you said, but I think the first one, you have to have your own views.
Right.
I think part of the reason, when you look at anyone, whether it's political commentators, whether it's fighters, whether it's anyone, a lot of the people that get attention is because they have their own views and they stick with it. They have concrete views. When you're kind of like an NPC type character where you have none of your own views and you like whatever other people like, you don't become a leader, you become a follower. And when you're a follower, people don't want to follow a follower.
Right.
They want to follow leaders. And the only time you get leaders is if you have someone that speaks their mind. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a chiseled Adonis word. Unabashedly. If someone speaks their mind unabashedly, right? You have a Kanye West. Dude says whatever the fuck he wants. He has concrete views. And because of that, he gets a lot of attention. Right? So I think you have to have concrete views, regardless of what your genuine worldview. You have the concrete views that you refuse to compromise on. Because if you compromise on your beliefs, then you're just an NPC, and people don't want to follow followers.
Right.
They want to pay attention to the people that are moving the world forward, and those are the people with their own views. And that's why people listen to political commentators. They listen to people that are extreme on one side or the other, and it almost builds like a cult-like following.
Right.
So you garner a lot of attention like that. By having your own views and your own identity, it separates you, and people are like, I want to pay attention to this guy, because this is someone I want to be like. So I think one is you have to have your concrete views. That you refuse to compromise on. Two, I think there has to be like an air of relatability.
Okay.
There has to be an air of relatability in the sense that, like, you do a really good job of it. And I think in the beginning, it's because you were living it. Now that you have a little bit more money, you still are very relatable. You don't ever like do any rich dude shit. You're always like, yeah, man, don't you hate when you like, comedians do it really well. It's like Kevin Hart, don't you hate when you have to wait in line at Disneyland? It's like, we know for damn well you don't do this.
Right.
But they build like a sense of relatability, and because of that, you can get a lot of attention. Because big thing you see on social media now, it's if someone shares a story, hey, here's my journey with alopecia.
Right.
Everyone with alopecia is now watching you because they're like, oh, this person is relatable. I can relate to their story. I can share it. The reason I've been able to build a social media following is like, hey, here's how I went from being broke to making millions of dollars on social media. And people are like, wow, I could relate to him when he was broke, and it gives them hope, right? It's like a sense of inspiration. So I think relatability is big because people are curious on what that's like. I think having concrete views, and I think the third one is doing something that's hard to replicate. The harder it is to replicate, the more attention you are going to get. And I realize this. I tell people all the time, like, hey, Rene, how do I go viral on TikTok? I'm like, put more effort in, make it hard to replicate.
Right.
Because these people that post content.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
These people that post content that are easy to replicate, there's hundreds of you. So you're not special. I'm not gonna pay attention to you. Mr. Beast, before he was Mr. Beast, because now it's impossible to replicate him.
Right.
But even in the past, you go all the way back, his videos were impossible to replicate because he would be like, saying Logan Paul 100,000 times.
Yeah.
Who is gonna do that? No one.
Right.
Difficult to replicate. Guess what? That's kind of what propelled him into the Mr. Beast of now.
Right, because even there's a channel, I don't know if he's Russian, German, I forget. All I know is he's European. He copies literally everything. He's Russian.
Mr. Beast,
copies everything that Mr. Beast does, but it's the same thing. You're a carbon copy of the original. So your entire existence is based off of what Mr. Beast does.
But again, it's hard to replicate, so he's still getting views.
Yeah, exactly.
No one, if anyone could do Mr. Beast things, it wouldn't be special anymore.
Correct.
But the harder you are to replicate, and it could be in any facet, right? Like your content is very hard to replicate because no one can talk like you. I can try my best, but I'm not going to be as successful as the original. So if you have concrete views and you believe in things and you refuse to compromise, if you are relatable and you are hard to replicate, there's only going to be one of you. And because of that, all of the attention is going to go to you because no one else can be you.
Right. 100%. Hell of a way to put that, man. Hell of a way to put that. So well said. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man.
But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got some value out of this conversation. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And just in case you forgot, let me bring you back up to speed. I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. He is a serial entrepreneur, the Filipino Prince Tycoon, Rene Lacad, and this is We Are Assiduous.
I'm getting better. I missed 2 words.
I like that.